As 2017 is winding down, the PlayStation 4's major releases have already come. However, there are a few games for the rest of the year that you should have your eyes on, and in this video, we want to go over 10 awesome PS4 games for the rest of 2017. We've got less than a month left, but there are still some interesting titles that you should have your eyes on. Let's get right into this. Okami HD. Okami was among one of the best games on the PlayStation 2, and trust me, the PlayStation 2 had a lot of great games, but Okami HD is among the top 1% of those. It's an action-adventure game developed by Clover Studio and published by Capcom, and it's got an awesome aesthetical style set sometime in classic Japanese history. The game combines several Japanese myths, legends, and folklore to tell the story of how the land was saved from darkness by the sun goddess named Amaterasu, who took the form of a white wolf. Think something a lot like Zelda. Great gameplay, a great art style, solid music, and now it's coming back to the PlayStation 4 in the form of Okami HD. Better visuals, trophies, all that good stuff. We never saw a proper sequel to Okami. Yeah, there was Okami done on the DS, but never an Okami 2. Maybe if Okami HD performs well, if it sells well, the door will be once again open to an Okami 2. Who knows, but if you've never played Okami, make sure to check out Okami HD. LOCOROCO 2 Remastered. LOCOROCO was originally released on the PSP and the PlayStation Portable. While it did sell very well, it had a lot of great games that went under the radar, and LOCOROCO was definitely one of them. And what is LOCOROCO? It's a very charming 2D game. Aesthetically, it's really nice to look at, and while the gameplay isn't anything super challenging and the story won't make you emotionally invested, it does have some very charming design, and it's a game you should definitely check out. It's gonna be a budget title. LOCOROCO 2 Remastered hits the PS4 on December 9th. Dead Rising 4 Frank's Big Package. A next-generation Dead Rising title is finally hitting the PlayStation 4. Yeah, we did see the release of the first Dead Rising game as well as Dead Rising 2 on the PlayStation 4, but those games were last-generation titles. We didn't see Dead Rising 3 on PS4, but now we are getting Dead Rising 4 in the form of Frank's Big Package. Now, Dead Rising 4, it did receive mixed reviews. It did incorporate some fresh ideas, but it was described as more of a casual, easygoing entry than its older siblings. Still, it'll be nice to finally get a next-generation Dead Rising experience on the PlayStation 4, and Dead Rising 4 Frank's Big Package will include some additional goodies. Still doesn't quite justify the year-long wait, but better late than never. Dead Rising 4 Frank's Big Package hits December 5th. Jak and Daxter PS2 on PS4 Collection. Jak and Daxter is making its way over to the PlayStation 4. The first Jak and Daxter game is actually already available on the PlayStation 4, but now you've got Jak 2, Jak 3, as well as Jak Combat Racing all coming to the PlayStation 4, and that's great. Many give Naughty Dog credit for the Uncharted series, but their series before that was arguably just as good with Jak and Daxter, a great platforming series, and the first Jak game was a little charming, and then Jak 2 and 3 kind of ramped up the intensity, and Jak Combat Racing was also a very good game. Now you've got all of those titles available on PlayStation 4 in HD with trophy support. It's gonna be great going back through these games. Jak 2, Jak 3, as well as Jak Combat Racing all hit the PlayStation Store on December 5th.
I've got you now. Hang on, Dax. It's gonna be close.
Jak and I are world.
Gang Beasts. Gang Beasts is a multiplayer game with weird characters, melee fight sequences, and hazardous environments. It's set in the fictional metropolis of Beef City, and the initial release is going to include 8 multiplayer stages, and as far as the gameplay itself, it involves using various physical abilities such as punching or kicking an opponent until they are knocked out, and then attempting to toss them over one of the stage's hazards. It's a quirky little game, sure, it's not going to take the gaming world by storm, but it's an interesting title nonetheless. It hits the PlayStation 4 on December 12th. Blob. The Blob originally released back in 2008, and it's a platform puzzler, and it has players explore and liberate an alien city from an evil monochromatic corporation. That corporation has taken over the city and outlawed all color and fun from daily life. The concept initially on paper sounds kinda zany. You don't know what to make of it, but I'm telling you, The Blob is a great game. You embark on a quest to reanimate the city and free it from the corporation by splattering buildings, landmarks, and citizens with color. If you've never checked out The Blob, definitely do so. It's releasing at a budget price point of $20, and it hits physically to the PlayStation 4 on December 5th, already available digitally. Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus. We've gotten some great Japanese RPGs on the PlayStation 4, and Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus, while it's not the biggest one out of them all, it is another nice addition. It's an action RPG, and it includes elements similar to the Persona series. Obviously, don't expect Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus to be at the level of Persona 5. That was one of the best Japanese RPGs ever, but if you're a bit open-minded and you enjoy your JRPGs, this is gonna be another good one added to the PS4's library. Tokyo Xanadu EX Plus hits the PlayStation 4 on December 8th. Final Fantasy 15 Episode Ignis. Final Fantasy 15 was finally released in 2016 after a long development span going back until 2006. We finally got our hands on the game, and the game was very good. Had its shortcomings, but it was a solid game nonetheless, and Square Enix has done a phenomenal job with keeping the game updated through DLC as well as free content. Now we've got the latest in the paid DLC content in Episode Ignis. We already got Episode Prompto and Episode Gladius, so Episode Ignis makes sense to arrive next, and expect this to add another layer to the Final Fantasy 15 world and story, and especially with the 4 characters, now they all have some depth to them. Many would argue in saying that the Final Fantasy 15 episode DLC content has been much better than the main game content, so hopefully this is another quality addition to the Final Fantasy 15 world. Final Fantasy 15 is expected to receive even more episodes in 2018. The current idea is for 3 more episodes to come in 2018, but for now we do have an official release date for Episode Ignis. That's December 13th.
As you please.
Oh, what good is a world that only ever lets you down? Why not end it all right here?
I swore an oath to stand with Noct and keep him safe. Whatever it takes, I will protect him.
Steep Road to the Olympics. Steep was one of the more underrated games released in 2016, but it was a very good game. It had a lot of depth and variety to its gameplay with a lot of different extreme sports. The online component was solid, and it was filled with a decent amount of content. And once again, that content was varied because you had skiing, wingsuit flying, snowboarding, and paragliding. Now we have Steep Road to the Olympics, an expansion that takes you on a journey to the Olympic Winter Games in 2018 in South Korea. You can freely explore a massive open world, including iconic Japanese mountains where you will train hard and take part in qualifiers to reach the ultimate winter sports competition. It'll let you pull off awesome tricks in freestyle sports or challenge yourself in new full-speed alpine action. Steep can be one of those games that over time gain more and more traction. If you haven't checked it out at this point, you can pick it up relatively cheap, and the expansion Steep Road to the Olympics will hit on December 5th. And finally, Bravo Team. Bravo Team is the latest game by Sony to add more depth to the PlayStation VR library, which has been lacking a little bit. This game is an action first-person shooter developed by Supermassive Games, who are a very talented studio, and it's a first-person shooter set in a fictional modern-day Eastern European city. Your escort mission goes wrong and results in the president's assassination. A country threatens to tear itself apart and your team along with it. Teamwork is at the core of Bravo Team, and it's been developed to allow both single-player and online two-player co-op, where you and your teammate must use everything at your disposal to survive. Even with PlayStation VR's shortcomings, Sony has shown that they aren't giving up on the platform, and it is a platform with a lot of potential. We've seen quality games such as Farpoint, Gran Turismo Sport, as well as the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim VR. Those are quality games, and hopefully Bravo Team adds another quality experience to the PSVR's arsenal. Bravo Team is scheduled for a release on December 5th.
Okay, enemies ahead. Alright, you ready? Engage! Cover me. Enemy on the balcony. I see. We're getting overrun. We need backup.
So that wraps up 10 awesome PS4 games for the rest of 2017. What do you think? Are you gonna check out any of these games? Sure, they may not be the most marquee releases this year, but with games such as Okami HD, the Jak and Daxter games, the Blob, the Final Fantasy 15 DLC, there are still some quality content coming for the rest of the year on PlayStation 4. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.